So last month, I wrote an article predicting the end of software as a service, and people lost their minds. Well, people who didn't read the article lost their minds. Or those people who have a stake in the SaaS status quo, yeah, they lost their minds. In another article a couple days ago, I asked if AI was just another big investor head fake, like NFTs. Not as many people lost their minds. Apparently, people love SaaS, but they're skeptical of AI. That's me too. I've got a long history with Gen AI. I was there at the beginning with Automated Insights, co-inventing the first Gen AI platform that was being used in mass market applications. We exited to a private equity firm in 2015, and after that, I believe they went the wrong way with the tech, and I left in 2018. But the thing is, I've been skeptical of generative AI for over a year now because I already know where this is headed. I know the right way to use the tech. It's killing me, and it has to do with the end of software as a service. I said that the end of what we're calling SaaS is closer than you think. It's right there in the title. Oracle and SAP aren't going bankrupt tomorrow, but we're quickly approaching the inflection point where the user expectations and the tech are converging on a do-it-for-me brand of data analysis that's going to eclipse the current do-it-yourself model. Thus, developers of software and apps will no longer be able to get away with just barfing out aggregated and summarized data back to the user for them to make their own business decisions. When people talk about the uselessness of apps like Google Analytics 4, which is actually very useful for people who know how to crunch the data, this is what they're talking about. As I said in the article, the effect of generative AI is going to bring about a rise in demand from the customer who wants solid decision options laid out for them, and who does not want to wade through screens of pretty dashboards to have to draw their own conclusions. This is already happening. But I don't know. Some people thought I was calling for the rise of voice input over keyboards. You can't educate all the people all the time. I just asked the question. I poked the bear. I rattled the cage. I noted that the more recent sketchy business models and half-baked applications that I'm starting to see for generative AI look a lot like the fly-by-night money-driven schemes that poison the NFT crypto well. And if I don't ask the speculative questions, who will? I mean, I have a background in AI and over 25 years of delivering useful products in an ever-changing technological landscape. I'm not shaking my fist at clouds. I'm connecting the dots of experience. So here are my conclusions about generative AI, to which that experience has led me. The AI part of generative AI is the shed load of algorithms which can now be quickly applied to the mountains of data that servers can generate and aggregate. It's decision engines at scale. This is what we were doing back in 2010. We broke AWS at the time, but in 2023, not new, not revolutionary. The generative part is the advancement in tech that can render the results of said algorithms on said data as a sentence or a picture or music. That's cool. That's why generative AI is novel. I wish we had had that back in 2010. There are thousands of fun little consumer uses and another ton of potentially scary unethical uses for tech like that. But we were approaching this tech and talking about AI ethics all the way back in 2010. Not new, not revolutionary. But when the end of software as a service happens, I'm on the board of a new company that could potentially do something revolutionary and maybe even knock out software like GA4. These are brilliant folks, and they're taking a very cautious approach to the integration of generative AI into their model. Last week, we were looking at wireframes for their MVP, which should be finished very early next year. When they got to their dashboards area, the lightning struck in my brain. They had pulled in a mountain of data, did some amazing algorithmic analysis, and put the results into a series of charts and tables that were gorgeous to look at and easy to understand. The user could even click through the dashboards to recommendations for each set of data, if those recommendations existed. Wait, I said, flip the script. Start with the recommendations. Spend all your time working on that. I understand that it's a big change and a scary proposition because you're doing all this algorithmic work for the user and then potentially presenting them with a blank screen of results. But that's no different than what SaaS does, except SaaS makes the user do it themselves. It forces the user to draw their own conclusions and make their own decisions. And if SaaS comes up empty on the decision analysis front, the user winds up paying people a lot of money to either tell them that they've gotten nothing or to make something up to justify their data scientist level salary. Now, the company I'm working with didn't start their company to be a SaaS also-ran. Their mission is to deliver value, not 1990s style reports. There's their generative AI use case. And as their AI gets better, they can not only tell the user what they should do, but also offer to do it for them. That, in a nutshell, is how we should be thinking about and using generative AI. Fill in the holes, eliminate the guesswork, give the user confidence about their choices and actions. We've been saying that this is what we want our software to do for the customer for years. Now's the time to make that happen. So this is an experiment, and I'm asking you, should I be doing this? It came about because as my writing has been sort of evolving over the last few weeks since I took some time off, I have been taking the last edit before I submit the post to the column or the article and reading it aloud. And that has been changing how that post, the final version of that post looks, right? So as I was doing it, I was like, well, I should just record that because there's some element that I'm trying to capture with how I'm saying what I'm saying that's almost as valuable as what it actually is that I'm saying. And it would be nice for people to see like where I'm putting inflection and when I can put kind of my own conversational points in there that don't necessarily work in print or in the digital version of print. So I'm doing this. I'm asking, should I do it? You can let me know. There are a million ways to get in touch with me. joeprocopio.com, teachingstartup.com. And that said, if you want to support me, I ask you to support me to support you by joining Teaching Startup. Teaching Startup is my project to help make more and better entrepreneurs by giving more people access to the best parts of startup advice. It's 80% of the value of startup advice for about 2% of the cost. And it's meant to be accessed on your time, answering your questions by having access to hundreds of questions, answers, posts, polls, and things like that. So instead of smashing like or subscribing, you can do that if you'd like. But the best way to help me help you is to join Teaching Startup at teachingstartup.com. Thanks.